As I said, what is coupling constant? Coupling constant is a measure. Can you define? It is a measure of how a nucleus is interacting with the adjacent NMR active nuclei. So, whether the coupling is strong, whether the coupling is weak, whether means if you have a hydrogen HA here and if you have hydrogen HB here, then whether these two nuclei are interacting strongly or it is interacting weakly, that will be given by the value of the coupling constant. Also, I said coupling constant is measured in hertz. It is measured in hertz and it is independent of the NMR instrument that you are taking. So one more thing I wanted to tell you earlier, but I'm just telling it now again. So if you have a delta scale here, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this, and if you are recording it in 60 megahertz, if you are using a 60 megahertz NMR, then the difference between this and this is 60. Again, this and this is 60. So this total difference becomes 120. Here again it is, so one unit in the delta scale is 60 hertz. So how do we get 1 or 2? We get 1 or 2 by the simple formula shift in hertz. That means 60 divided by the operating frequency by the chemical shift value delta scale. So into in hertz, that means 10 to the power 6, which is equal to, this is in hertz, then this also becomes hertz. Hertz cancels. So this is 1 into 10 to the power minus 6. So this is equal to 1 ppm. This one value is your this value. And similarly for 2, how we get 120 60 into 10 to the power 6. This is 2, and that's why we get 2 here. Now the same thing if we apply, the same thing we apply in a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the same thing if you apply in a 300 megahertz. So this gap will be 300 hertz. This gap will be 300 hertz. This is also 300 hertz. And from here to here, you have to find out this shift in hertz is 300, 300, 300 is 900 hertz. Okay. So what is the basic difference when we, so why do we have to use a NMR instrument of higher magnetic field? We have to use it for higher magnetic field because the distance between these two in terms of hertz increases. That means when you are using a camera which is of 10 megapixel and you are using the same camera or different camera of 100 megapixel, the picture remains same, but then when you zoom in to the picture, the 10 megapixel will the picture will get distorted and the 100 megapixel will be more clearer as you go on inside the if you zoom in to the thing. So that's why when you go from 60 to higher magnetic field, then what happens here, the spectra becomes more clearer. Okay. So similarly, the coupling value, that means the J value, chemical shift value, the J value will also differ as we go from 60 to 300 to whatever downward. It will keep on, the in hertz it will increase, but the thing is, since we are dividing it with the operating frequency, so that always becomes constant. So if it is 5 megahertz, 5, if it's 5 hertz for 60 megahertz NMR, it will remain 5 hertz. I'm talking about J coupling value. It will still remain 5 for 120 or so suppose 300 megahertz, irrespective of the external magnetic field. Now, what are the importance of this coupling constant that we can find out if we see a spectra which is, let us suppose I have a spectra which is of nature. Are you all there? Yes, sir. Okay. Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to nobody, so it's kind of a scary scenario. So another to say, I think, uh, okay. Suppose you get a spectra like this. What do we get from the spectra? You do not. What kind of you know that this is a triplet. This is a triplet. This is triplet. This is a quadrat. So this information is there. Then you try to find out the coupling constant. Okay. Suppose this coupling constant is suppose the value is x. Or let me give a value. Suppose 7 hertz. Okay. So this is also 7 hertz. This is also 7 hertz. And this value is 5 hertz. Again, this value is 7 hertz. This is also 7 hertz. And this is 5 hertz. This is 5 hertz. So, till now, what information from the spectra we are getting? We are getting that we are getting the type of peak, triplet, 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 and quartet, and we are getting the uh, coupling constant value, that is 7, 5, 7, 5. So, what can we correlate from this coupling constant? We now can say that these protons, obviously these are from some protons, some this proton A will be. Suppose so we have A, B, C, and D. That means we have 4 different type of protons. That's why we are getting 4 different signals. Then from the coupling constant value, what we can make out is HA is coupling with HC. HA is coupling. HA is coupling with HC, and HB is coupling with HD. HB is coupling with HD. Okay, so HA is coupling with HC and HB is coupling with HD. Why? How can we predict that? That is because this coupling constant value is same. This is 7, this is 7, this is 5, this is 5. So with this information further we can say that HA is near to HC somewhere. This is the scenario, and HB is near to H. This we can say. Now, what else can we say, or what else can we predict? HA and HC. HA is coming as quartet. Okay, HA is coming as quartet. So if HA is coming as quartet, then this carbon should have how many hydrogen atoms? If HA is coming as quartet, HC should have how many hydrogen atoms? 3. So it should have 3 hydrogen atoms. That's why only then we can follow the n plus 1 rule. 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. Only then we can say that this will appear as what? Quartet. So definitely with this, again we can say now here this is coming as triplet. If this is coming as triplet, that means HA should have CH2. That means your compound should have a CH2 CH3 fragment present. This is a very vital information. Later on, when you when we do some more problem solving things with these values, you have to predict. And in this case, if we see here, HB, where is HB? This is HB. This is coming as triplet. If HB is coming as triplet, this will be H here, and HD is also coming as triplet, so this is also H here. Okay, so this gives another fragment that is CH2 and CH2. So this vital information you will be getting from the coupling constant values and by the splitting pattern. So then when we discuss the chemical shift values, with this we will be able to finally predict what is the structure of the particular compound. So this spectra that I was drawing, this spectra is for a compound which is like Cl, CH2, CH2, O, CH2, CH2. So this compound has your CH2, CH2 fragment, and it also has CH2, CH3 fragment. Okay. So this is one important factor, or important advantages of or important information that we can get from coupling constant value. Another thing that I wanted to say you was, yeah, J is your coupling constant. Now there is a value, there is a term called delta nu by J. Delta nu by J, where delta nu is your uh, chemical shift in hertz, and this is the coupling constant. Delta nu by J, and this one is the coupling constant. So if this delta nu by J is value is greater than 8, then we say that the spectra that we are getting is a first order spectra. Means these are very clean spectra, all the peaks are very well defined, it is nice. So this will only happen as you increase the your external magnetic field. Okay, that means you are using an instrument of higher resonating frequency. So if you see here, you are using a 60 megahertz instrument and you are using a 300 megahertz instrument. Your coupling constant value, this value will be same. This value will be same, but this value will be different. Delta nu value will be different in your 60 megahertz and your 300 megahertz. As I said that in 60 megahertz, one unit is 60 hertz, 60 hertz, 60 hertz. So in 300 it will be 300 hertz, 300, 300. So that's why this delta nu value in case of 60 megahertz and 300 megahertz, here delta nu, that means the shift difference in chemical shift, that will be more, and here it will be less. Now if this is more here, then this particular factor more by J, this is constant, so if the numerator more, the higher it is, higher the value you will get. So with this delta nu by J value, we get that if delta nu by J is greater than or approximately equal to 8, then we get a first order spectra. Now what is how this first order spectra is changing? I will give you an example. Suppose I am having this is a doublet. This is also a doublet. Okay, we get a doublet. Now this value is our J. This value is our J. So now when you record an NMR spectra, you will get here, you will get something, suppose X hertz, here you will get Y hertz, here you will get M hertz, here will be N hertz. So there will be some particular value for each of these particular peak. Okay. Now if we take X plus Y divided by 2, then you will get the value of this center here. You will get this central peak here. And if you do M plus n divided by 2, you get this particular peak here. Now, as I was discussing the spin splitting parameter, we know that this middle point is the exact value where your peak should have come, but because of your adjacent nuclei, sometimes it goes or it goes a little bit this side and it goes a little bit this side. Similarly, so this is the main center point of your peak. Now, this difference is your delta nu. How will you get the value of this nu? From when you add these two, you divide it by 2, you get a value in hertz. You add these two divided by 2, you get a value in hertz. Just minus it and minus the larger from the lower, you get the delta nu value. Okay. Now what will happen is, if you now suppose this is in 300 megahertz NMR, and now if you take it in 60 megahertz NMR, what will happen is this delta nu will be small. This delta nu will be small, and now you get a peak here and here. Also, you get a peak here, and so your spectra will be like this. But if I can say this is 1 unit, okay, this is also 1 unit in 60 megahertz. Now this is still j. So this j and this j value is still same. Only thing difference is delta nu value has now become less here. Okay. So then if you see here delta nu by j, and here if you calculate delta nu dash, if I write delta nu dash here by j, this value, suppose I write a value a and here I write b, so a will be always greater than b. Okay, and more the bigger the value a or more better this value, better will be your NMR spectra. So if it is more than 8, it is very good, and it is called a first order spectra or a very first class spectra, fine spectra. And if you go down, it will become second order spectra. So in second order spectra, what happens is the clarity of the spectra decreases, splitting pattern also becomes less as they come closer and closer together. Sometimes the peaks they overlap over each other because the frequency difference is less. So that's why they overlap over each other. As we discuss more spectra later on, you will understand. Clear? Yes, sir. Okay. Sir. Yeah. Why? ऐसा बोल रहा है क्या? Let's see. In 10 minutes, if it finishes, then good. Let's see. We have 10 minutes, no? Yes, sir. Okay. So I'll just give you a, if it is there in your Pavia book when you open it sometimes later on during this semester, you will see this spectra where in a peak this is in 600, and the same thing in 300 it becomes little bit. There are again some splitting here. So if you see here, these are very fine lines, and here it becomes it's like overlapping shaky kind of scenario. And the same if you record it in 60 megahertz, you will get somewhat like this. So this whole thing it becomes clearer as you go from lower to higher or higher magnetic field NMR instruments. So there is two term which is called. I will again discuss coupling constant a little bit later once I discuss the chemical shift values, or once you are acquainted with the chemical shift values, then we'll discuss more about coupling constant, because now if I discuss that, it will be difficult for you to digest. Chemical equivalence. Chemical equivalent and magnetic equivalent. So if you have a carbon atom here, and if you have here, then these three hydrogens, they are chemically equivalent. These three are chemically equivalent. Also, they are magnetically equivalent because they are in the same magnetic environment. But let us consider a complex example. Protons which are in same chemical environment, they are called chemical equivalent. If they are in same magnetic environment, they are called magnetically equivalent. So if you see there, so if you see here in this example, these two protons are same and these two protons are same. That means these two protons will get the same signal and these two protons will also give the same signal. So we can write this as HB. Okay, we can write it like this. But if I have to find out the coupling constant, that means this proton will appear as what? It will appear as doublet. Why it will appear as doublet? Because adjacent to this carbon atom there is only one hydrogen atom. Okay. Now, so the if I have to find out the coupling constant JAB, so this value will be X. But if I have to find out the coupling between this and this, so this is JAB. Now this interaction cannot be same. The effect this hydrogen will have on this hydrogen atom is something, but the effect of this hydrogen on this hydrogen will be different. Although they are chemically equivalent, but they are not magnetically equivalent. They are far apart. So this is, we can also say this as J ortho, because this and this has a ortho relationship, and this has a para relationship. So uh, these hydrogens, although they are chemically equivalent, they are not magnetically equivalent. Okay, so this you keep in mind. So just I'll just write a line. You can write chemically equivalent nuclei are magnetically equivalent. Chemically equivalent nuclei are magnetically equivalent if they display the same coupling constant with all other nuclei or all other nuclei in the molecule. So this is very important. Chemically equivalent nuclei are magnetically equivalent if